What is up, everyone? This is ScherBR talking. Welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I bring you news for months in SaGa UniverSe. They just announced 2 minstrel song banners, or you can call it just Romancing Saga 1 banners. They have 4 styles each, so it may be better to use free gens, contrary to the New Year banners released with the start of anniversary that has only 3, and they actually provide much more utility if you're using paid gens if you have those. Okay, so this first banner has Albert, Sif, Claudia, and Jamil. We are now on Reddit in a post by Hands43. As always, I really appreciate the amazing job. And we have here the characters alongside buffs, comparisons to JP. Albert is a much better tank of sorts now, 100% endurance and will, and 100% agility, but nothing here really stands out. They even gave him intelligence because of, I don't know, Victor's Blade inheritance. This character is Sun support, so he wants to use it together with other characters that have Sun element. The good thing is that we do have plenty of good Sun specialists, like we just got Goddess, there's Final Press, there's also Leon, and look, he gives this heat up for 15% damage increase in the whole fight 3 times, and then a defense up that decreases damage taken by 10%. It was changed from just 5 JP 3 times as well. So in 3 turns, he's giving for free 45% increase in damage for the whole fight and 3 stacks of minus 10% damage, and also gets 1 BP every turn. Now, his skill number 3 is a fast skill with 9 BP cost that has Slash and Sun with just S power. He's just as weak as Leon or even worse. And at least it's fast, and before attacking, he grants this Cloth of Light for 2 turns to our allies. Cloth of Light actually starts with a 5-turn cast on Battle Begins. This is a passive that if you use Sun attacks, you will be buffing your will by 15%, just your will. And also your ailment resistances by large effect. And also, defense boost that will decrease damage taken by 15% for just that turn itself. Not to everyone, but he gives this passive to everyone. But the thing here is, there is a big problem with his agility, just being 100%. And even if his attack is fast, well, many characters also have fast skills, like Leon himself, like Empress herself. So it will be easier to use him on formations like Rising Phoenix or Rising King, because you can place him on the front and some other characters in the back. Even then, it can have some clashes. The good thing is that Cloth of Light, when used as a skill, has 2 turns effect, and he still has a 5-turn effect on start of fight. This passive also grants a 5% buff to STR, Dexterity, Agility, and Intelligence. This has nothing to do with your element, so when he casts this Cloth of Light, it will work for everyone. Again, his agility is not that fast, so if an enemy has a fast skill, he may still go before him. Then you also get the attack boost that will increase damage potential by 15%, lasts for 2 turns, just yourself. That's it. That's the effects of Cloth of Light. But here we have to discuss, Leon has kinda off a little bit of everything here, and even better. Leon buffs your status. He already decreases damage taken for everyone by 30%. He allows you to buff all status when you are hit. And he also gives attack and defense boost, alongside much better healings and a better buff when hit. He buffs all status instead of just 4 offensive ones. And that can even lead to better healings. Sadly, Albert cannot reach the same level of potential as Leon. And also when landing Sun attacks, Albert recovers 2 BP, but just to himself. Now, he also has 40% damage increase at all times and reduces damage taken by 30%. Still, when he uses his skill number 3, he will grant a defense boost to the party that decreases damage taken by 15%, lasts for 2 turns and can stack. Then he has a 50% chance to apply a second defense boost of the same effect, and then a 37% chance to apply yet another one. You can have 3 effects, 2 effects, or just 1. That's RNG for you. But, well, if you are using other Sun attackers and they are also getting some defense boosts from the Loaf of Light passive, he can stack well, I have to admit. He still has something else. Skill number 2 is Sun spell, but it doesn't have any element, so you don't need to actually equip an elemental weapon. Casts a Guard Up Large that decreases damage taken by 35% for 3 turns. Does not stack, you use it just once. And then you will cast HP Recover by the end of turn for 3 turns, recovering around 300. So it is yet another level of defense. The thing is, many people summon it for Leon. Leon gives BP and better healing. So that's why it is super easy to skip Albert, even though they try to make him look a little better. I think this guy will get just a 3.5 out of 5, but I'm unsure about that yet. The next one will be Sif. And Sif is a 136% STR attacker, 110% endurance, and 110% will as well. With 100% agility, as you can see, those status are pretty okay, with the STR being very high. She starts with 14 BP because it's what she needs for her best attack. Then she has weak hit ups. A 40% damage increase can trigger 4 times per battle for a total of 200% damage increase alongside another 20. And also, she reduces damage taken at all times by 40%. Crazy. Then, on attacking weak targets or when using overdrive, she will then self-debuff. That's right after she attacks. So the attack that she used will still be on full. And then the other 2 attacks will have the STR debuff applied. What are the other 2 attacks? She chases 2 times with her skill number 3. That is random 4 hits E-power attack that applies defense down. As a chase, it decreases the defense of the enemy by 10%, and it has slash and cold damage. That is cool, right? Because that will equal 8 hits, and each new hit will do more damage than the another, and this is permanent. Problem is that slash and cold is something that you can find on the first Hihachi, which is competing with some of the best of the best. Okay, but then if she is on an overdrive, she will cast this attack boost of a large effect to everyone that will increase their damage potential by 15%. Also a defense boost of large effect that we checked on GP should be only 20%. And then this passive called Spirit of Buffer that gives 25 points of OG Gosh, 1 extra PP, cleanses ailments, and even that attribute debuff, because she will self-debuff when attacking. Okay, so she does not even need 4 news to cleanse the debuffs she self-inflicts, but she also works super well with 4 news, and even Silver, and Hihachi, and Therese, because she uses cold attacks, and 4 news increases your cold damage with each new attack. So she triggers 3 attack boosts for cold via 4 news. Now, she does not do the same damage as Hihachi, but, well, she's getting there. I feel like she would do around 60% of damage of Hihachi because she can chase every turn. She still has a second skill that is roll-based, made for stage 270 on Spiral, where she casts Morale Up and then activates Dangerous Spin. That is a WS roll attack, so this will all feel more in line to a 4S power attack. Sumir is much better for 270 anyway, and we even have other characters here that are better. But right now, Sif is the strongest damage dealer for Remembrance. If you got Ellen, I believe that you have a better character since Ellen also debuffs. So, well, those without Hihachi will also benefit a lot from Sif. She is a very, very strong damage dealer and can even apply a defense boost, even if it's on overdrive only. Still, I think a 4 is deserved. Moving on, Claudia. Claudia is a bow user, pierce damage dealer, and 130% dexterity, and they buffed her endurance because it was terrible. It's always terrible. Claudia is always fragile, with agility being okay as well. Well, this character also gets weak hit ups of this time extreme effect, so that will be 120% on turn 4 onwards, alongside 2 extra BP. She also reduces damage taken by 30% at all times and has 25% chance to evade. Then, when attacking, she chases with skill number 3. That is a 9 BP triple S power attack that before attacking, she grants herself this Pierce attack boost that will increase the Pierce damage by up to 55% on max level. And then the attack will do more in line like a 4S power attack. That means that if you use this skill as command, then you chase with this, it's like 2 4S power attacks in a row. And she also grants herself a lot of other stuff, like in odd turns, critical enhance, that will then increase her attack boost by 30%, morale up by 40%, and then 1 hit of evasion and 4 BP. Now, on even turns, she activates Dream Shot. It's another chase, and this one has triple S power and buffs dexterity by 20%. And now, every time that she chases with S3, she has a 50% chance to trigger an extra chase. That's right, kind of like Tombola. And this is nice, unreliable, but, well, for remembrance, if she's on your party, you can just keep using her till she leads you to a victory. Not sure if she's gonna work super well versus Megalith Dragon, for example. Now, skill number 1 is free and applies Guard Up Medium, decreasing 25% damage to herself. Just something that you use if you don't have BP. And then 8 BP cost double S bow attack with piercing sun damage versus Column. That will recover HP by around 300 and also buff dexterity and charisma by up to 25% to all allies. We saw this before with Monica. It's okay skill to use as well. But that's not really awesome, and the chains attacks are single target focused, so there is no much to offer here. She is still better use it as a single target damage dealer, and I have to say that she's nothing special. It's just damage. She offers nothing to the party. Pretty skippable character, and I'll give just a 3 out of 5. Moving on, there is Jamil, and this one is actually good. Jamil has 116% intelligence, 115% agility, and 116% dexterity. His endurance is bad, but it's buffed, and will is more than enough. This guy has a pretty crazy type of passive that he passes on other characters of the party. Like, for example, on turn 1, he attacks and then passes this passive to someone else. That can even be himself, but the passive allows you to debuff all status of an enemy by 10%, and then every time that you attack, you'll be buffing all your status by 15%. 10% debuff to enemies, and then 15% buff to yourself. So if you are using an AoE attack, you're going to debuff all enemies. If you are using a single target attack, you're going to buff just one enemy. That is something that you need to consider. And then after he finishes attacking, he will pass this to someone. If it's to himself, it can still work because this guy has a 50% chance to chase with Screwdriver plus, a 50% to chase with Gold Conductor, and a 50% chance to chase with Accumulative Shot. Those attacks will debuff, for example, Screwdriver debuffs STR and Agility, Gold Conductor debuffs Intelligence, and Accumulative Shot debuffs Dexterity. All of them have around triple S power damage. So if he passes the passive to himself and chases, he can keep that up. But if he passes this passive to someone like Charade that does not attack, or to someone that already attacked, it's lost. So that's interesting, but on the same time, very risky. Now, when he attacks, he also gets 1 BP, an attack boost that will increase his damage potential by 10%, lasts for 2 turns and stack, and also a self-defense boost of 15% damage reduction. But then he casts this to a random ally that can be himself again or someone else. Just look that a chase attack will also trigger these effects. Then he has 40% damage increase at all times and a 30% damage reduction to himself. Now, his first skill is free AoE Pierce. That is just so that if you want to debuff multiple enemies, you still has an AoE free version. but you actually prefer to use skill 3. That is also an AoE pierce attack, but it's fast, and it's much better when you use fast skills with him because it guarantees that he's the first one to attack and he can lead the passive to someone that has not attacked yet. And then he can debuff the intelligence of the enemy by very large effect. That reaches up to 40% debuff. 40% intelligence debuff is amazing, but it only works if the enemy doesn't have any intelligence debuff. But that's for boss fights that will use the Fight Weakness or any other mechanic and cleans debuffs by the end of turn, so that on the next they have 0 debuffs. So, well, theoretically speaking, he can debuff the intelligence of the enemy by 40%, then by another 10% via his passive, and then if you can operate in Cascade with all other 4 characters attacking right after him, he can debuff all status of the enemy by up to 50%. Or even more if he chases and goes back to himself, I mean, as the first skill only. Then it's very unlikely to happen, because if he attacked first, then he's going to pass, for example, to someone that has not attacked. Now that this character has attacked, he has a chance to go back to himself or to send back to Jamil. In those cases, it will stop. So, I believe that he's a better intelligence debuffer than an all-status debuffer. The all-status debuff is not reliable, but if it works, it's going to be amazing. So this is the last character of this banner, and I think he deserves probably a 4.5 by being one of the best debuffers now. He is a little less impactful than Asellus, but he is someone that can also be used to defeat the 7 heroes. I am sure of that. He is probably on the leagues of Paulus, but they work differently. So, very good as well, just harder to use. Overall, this banner has Sif and Jamu as the best characters, and with Albert and Claudia as very skippable ones. I believe this banner only deserves a silver award. I don't think these characters impact as much, and if you don't have the gens, you can skip. Hawk is the best character of these 2 banners, and I'll be talking about him on the next video. So far, I believe these are my first impressions. What are yours? Say here in the comments if you agree or not. Hope to see you soon in the next video or live stream. Goodbye.